They're foam cells because they're macrophages filled with LDLs. They look like, if you look at, they've got all these little, for lack of a better term, like lipid droplets in there, right? They've got all these LDLs in there, and so they're getting bigger. They don't really have any place to go, and then you get these bumps. When you get these bumps, now you can get a thing whereby they create a big plaque themselves and they can break through the blood vessel and travel off as a plaque. That's a lipid-full or a lipid-associated plaque. You can also get this turbulence because things are getting stuck here. This is supposed to be straight flow, and in fluid dynamics you can see the effect. There are all these equations which determine retrograde flow and how often it is that things get stuck. For us, if we look in a river, when you get a stick sticking up in a fast-flowing river, and you see that the flow goes around, you also create this other little thing called an eddy, right? Or right behind the stick, there's this backwards flow, or there's this collection of area where things sit and don't move. Like if you're looking for a piece of trash or you've dropped your binoculars on a rafting trip, more often than not, they get found behind something else that's sticking up out of a river. So all this other, here's our bump, all this other cellular debris, plaques, other LDLs, platelets, they come together and they get stuck in there. And that thing can eventually break off and tear through a blood vessel. It doesn't tear through it itself, it blocks the blood vessel, and then the pressure builds up behind it, and then it's like a mini explosion. It's like when you block a well, or it has to overflow, and there's no place else for it to go, so it eventually breaks the vessel. And the reason we tend to see it more often in heart or brain is because we get all these little tiny vessels, so they travel. But even if you get a clot in your leg, pulmonary embolism, right? You've got all those little tiny vessels in your lungs. The clot can come from your lung, go from your leg to your lung, and then you can't breathe. You got this huge clot, and there's nothing you can do. So I've got some specific cytokines and things in there. You just need to know this. The monocytes, macrophages form, right? Promotion of smooth muscle growth, which affects movement. Okay? So clinically speaking, we look for an increase in C-reactive protein levels because this is an inflammatory process. This is, okay, and I'll write that. Inflammatory C-reactive protein is, and I could explain it, but we're already at time. It's a marker of inflammation. If you've got a lot of CRP going, chances are you've got a lot of this happening. If you've got a lot of this happening, you're at increased risk for all kinds of cardiovascular associated diseases.